I'm Jan Bedol, and this is my husband, Greg.
And cameraman. Hi, everybody. Sorry we can't be with you. In this age of virus, we really can't do the Passover Seder we were hoping to do. So instead, we're bringing you a few video clips talking about Passover and its relationship to Easter. So let's get started.
Greg, what is Passover?
I'm so glad you asked. So Passover is the ritual celebration each spring of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt and through the Red Sea. There are many rituals surrounding Passover, including the requirement to eat matzah in remembrance. The story goes when it was time to leave Egypt, there was no time to bake bread and let it rise. So matzah is unleavened or unrisen bread, basically wheat and flour.
Passover lasts for 8 days. That time is based on the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, or our 5 books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
And
Leviticus, and rabbinic interpretation.
So the best known ritual around Passover is the Passover Seder.
What is the Passover Seder?
So Seder means order. The Seder is a special meal where we follow a certain order using a Haggadah as our guide to retell the story of Passover. Now, there are 15 sections to the Seder, and I'm going to read about all 15 of them very briefly. There's Kadesh, which is sanctification, and it's a blessing recited over wine in honor of the holiday. Then there's Urchatz, or washing. Participants wash their hands without a blessing in preparation for eating the karpas. Karpas? Vegetable. It's usually parsley, dipped in salt water and eaten. Then we have Yachatz, or the breaking. The middle of the 3 matzahs on the table is broken into 2 pieces, and the smaller part is returned. The larger one is set aside as the afikomen. More on that later. Then we have Magid, which is the story. It's the retelling of the story of the Exodus from Egypt in the first Pesach. And there are lots of different segments to this story, including the 4 questions, which you might have heard of. After the end of the Magid, there's more wine. Rachatz, washing. You're washing your hands again. Motzi, the blessing over the grain products. Matzah, the blessing over matzah. Moror, which is bitter herbs, and it's remembered as a symbol of slavery. The maror is dipped in haroset, which is a mixture of apples, nuts, and wine, and that symbolizes the mortar used by the Jews in building during their time of slavery.
That's really good.
It's really good. Koresh, which is the sandwich. It's the moror with matzah. And then we eat dinner. Right after dinner is the search for the afikomen, which had been hidden earlier, remember? The piece of matzah, and whoever finds the afikomen normally gets a prize. Then we say barach, which is the grace after the meals. Halal, which is praises, often accompanied by singing, and the last cup of wine. And finally, we have nirtzah, which is the closing, always ending with next year in Jerusalem.
So, here, Greg is going to read 15 sections of the Seder.
I just did that. You're going to read 16 lines.
Ah, okay. 16 lines.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So this is an entire Seder poem. Seder in a poem.
In 16 lines, called the Passover Seder by Emma Popowski. We bless the wine, then wash our hands. We remember the tears of our ancestors and break the matzah held in the hands of the Jews. We tell the story of how we were slaves and now free. And once again, wash our hands. We bless the matzah and eat the same unleavened bread that had been eaten by our ancestors in Egypt. We suffer through the bitter herbs, then bring together the ingredients that created our history. At last we eat a meal and hide dessert to be found by the future generations. We thank God for the food He provides us with and thank Him for our freedom and faith. We sing songs of joy and happiness, celebrating our past and the hope of our future.
Now, as you can tell, the Seder can go on for a long time, and not everybody has patience. So, if that poem was too long for you, try this. This is also a Seder. We were slaves in Egypt. Now we are free. Let's have a Seder. What's on the Seder plate? Eggs, herbs, bone, greens, charoset. Let's drink some wine. Why is this night different? Why is this child different? 10 plagues on the Egyptians. Enough already, Dayenu. Drink wine again. Matzah, maror, hillel sandwich. Let's eat. Where's the afikoman? Thanks for the food. Drink some more wine. Open the door for Elijah. Drink some wine. Last one. Thanking and singing next year in Jerusalem.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So, we are moving on. What is a Haggadah?
So, Haggadah literally means telling. It's the book which allows us to tell the story of the Passover during the Seder. There's no one Haggadah. All that matters is it follows the order of the Seder and retells the story in its own way of the Passover.
Well, here are some different Haggadah. There are even website versions and ones where you can make your own. If you're interested in looking that up, go to haggadot.com. HAGGODOT.com.
Let me fix that.
Oops.
HAGGADOT.com.
Thank you.
We've rehearsed that. She's never gotten it right. So we'll be back in a little bit.